Hello, my name is Monica and I'm currently a junior at the U of M studying food systems. I chose to write my report on the food system because not only am I passionate about the topics at hand, but society has recently been seeing major changes in food economy and consumer preference. In this presentation, I will be introducing the controversial topics surrounding our food system, as well as giving insight into how our food system has become the way it is in order to help consumers better understand and support their local food choices. Before we begin, I want to clarify what the term food system means. The food system refers to the web between food, consumers, producers, transporters, and the government, as well as each group's inputs and experiences. We will often use the term food web because the food system is not a linear thing, meaning that if one change is made, it can affect many different parts of the system. To gain proper context into how our food production rose to its current level, let's dive into a brief history. Agriculture originally began about 12,000 years ago in the Neolithic age, when cultivation of seeds and animal domestication allowed nomads to settle into towns and villages. Thousands of years later, in the agricultural revolution, many essential inventions were created, including the plow. This allowed farmers to till the soil, which not only aerates soil and kills existing weeds, it better prevents beds for planting, making crops more proliferate. Plowing could be done anywhere from 0 to 3 times per season. There is some controversy behind plowing because it releases the carbon that has been stored into the soil into the atmosphere, contributing to global climate change. A second revolutionary invention happened after World War I when Fritz Haber and Karl Bosch invented a synthetic form of NH3 that was originally meant to be used in explosives, but after the war became increasingly useful in agriculture. Nitrogen is an essential compound for many crops and with its addition causes plants to be more proliferate in their foliage. After this invention came to agriculture, yields became increasingly higher and more reliable. Due to its large impact on agriculture, the Haber-Bosch system is still being used today. A final technological breakthrough that occurred in agriculture was during the Green Revolution between the years 1930 and 1969. Norman Borlaug, an Iowa native, undertook a major breeding project with maize in Mexico. He first introduced the concept of shuttle breeding and produced the first genetically modified breed of corn. By inserting the bacteria Bacillus thuringiensis into the DNA of corn, he created a product that was pesticide resistant. The introduction of GMOs has since turned our American production system on its head. GMOs are now found in about 80% of all processed foods. Next, let's take a look at how history has influenced our food system today. According to the 2012 census, 2.1 million farms in the U.S. produced food on 915 million acres, 97% of which were family owned. The average farm size was 433 acres, and total agricultural income for that year was about $394.6 million. Of the total number of farms, 88% of them were categorized as small farms, and the census goes on to reveal that 70% of those farms have been established for more than 10 years. Also, more than half of the small farm owners also work off-site for additional revenue. This means that the common factory farm perception of large company farming thousands of acres is wrong. Our food production still heavily relies upon the work of families who use farming as a source of income. In an effort to be the most efficient and make the most money for their families, farmers will often specialize in one or two crops and invest in thousands of dollars worth of machinery and processing equipment. This system, planting just one or two crops over an extended area, creates what we call a monoculture. Nature doesn't usually create monocultures because by having many species in one area, an insurance policy is created to fight disease and drought. With the increase in monocultures, farmers rely more heavily upon pesticides, herbicide, and fertilizer use. By over-applying these chemicals, they often will leach into freshwater systems and create dead zones. An example of this is at the Mississippi River Basin in the Gulf of Mexico. These dead zones make it impossible for other life forms to survive and thus impact other industries such as commercial fishing and ecotourism. Monocultures also impact the environment in other ways, like depleting the soil nutrients and releasing excess carbon into the atmosphere. In an effort to change this, organic certification has been on the rise around the country. With organic certification, farmers are guaranteed to be implementing soil health practices like crop rotations, green mulching, and cover cropping, as well as only using chemical applications approved by the USDA. Buffer zones are also required to prevent non-approved chemicals from being blown onto the fields, and finally, farms are subject to yearly reviews to ensure that proper practices are actually in place. This system not only delivers food that consumers feel confident about, but it also could have major environmental impacts if done on a large scale. By growing organic, farmers receive a premium price for their crops and will often end up making more money than conventional systems, even though yields are typically lower and labor costs are higher. This gives them an incentive to switch over to producing organic, even though the transition period can take up to 3 years. There has also been a movement towards avoiding GMOs. Although many scientific studies have shown that GMOs have no effect on human health, they are still being questioned for their ethical soundness. An official non-GMO certification has been produced with a specific label to assist those consumers who wish to avoid modified products. Gradually, each dollar will count as a vote towards production systems we want to see thrive and should be encouraging to everyone who buys food. Education is key when it comes to our health and nutrition because it increases transparency and helps consumers be clear on what it is they are purchasing. Though the history of the food system has been long, every step we have taken has led us to where we are now and has great potential to change even more in the future. By being an active participant in the food buying process, anybody can have a say and help lead change towards food security. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation.